So let's address the elephant in the room. And here's what no one is saying out loud, especially the press. When a certain brother's emotional display for one grieving mother might have moved the cameras and it might have moved the press, but I doubt it, compassion doesn't count when it's selective. So he wept, supposedly for a stranger's pain. But when his own sister-in-law said she was suicidal under palace pressure, his silence was louder than any tears. There was no public defense. There was no empathy on record, just distance. And now, conveniently, visible emotion when the narrative is safe. And especially when he saw that his younger brother got good press from being visibly emotional. And it gets harder to reconcile when you remember some of the other brothers' choices.
Oh, look who's crying again. Prince William, the royal poster boy for selective sympathy. The British media's in full meltdown mode, handing out empathy like it's VIP access. But only if your postcode starts with Palace. They're clutching pearls, wiping imaginary tears, and screaming, "Leave William alone." Meanwhile, Meghan Markle could rescue a kitten from a burning building, and they'd call it attention-seeking. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Meghan and Harry Tales, the show where we don't do royal spin, we do royal reality. Where we see through the nonsense, roast the hypocrisy, and celebrate the truth-tellers who dare to shake the table. And today, that crown goes to Solarus. Solarus didn't just speak truth, they dropped an entire truth meteor. They said what we've all been thinking. The media's compassion comes with a crown attached. And if you're not William or Kate, good luck getting even a teaspoon of it. So buckle up, because today we're unpacking the royal sob story, the media's crocodile tears, and why Solarus just made the British press look like the world's most selective therapists. Grab your tea, your popcorn, and maybe an umbrella, because Solarus just made it rain truth all over the palace PR parade. You see, when William tears up, it's touching. When Harry opens up, it's attention-seeking. When Kate looks tired, it's the pressures of motherhood. When Meghan looks tired, it's diva behaviour. The double standards are so thick you'd need a royal sword to cut through them. And now the press has gone into full meltdown mode, crying, "Leave William alone," while still dissecting Meghan's eyelash movements from 2019. Solarus nailed it perfectly, calling out the media's selective compassion, that carefully rationed empathy that's only available to those with the right skin tone, postcode, and pedigree. Solarus said what needed to be said. If empathy is real, it can't come with conditions. Let that marinate. Because, apparently, in the royal bubble, empathy is a subscription service. And guess what? Meghan's card declined. Not for lack of funds, but because she refused to play the palace PR game. So, William had a public moment of emotion, and suddenly the media's calling him brave, vulnerable, inspiring. Ah yes, bravery, the new royal accessory of the season. But let's not forget, this is the same William who stood by while Meghan was dragged through the mud daily. The same William whose silence was deafening while his sister-in-law was torn apart by tabloids. Now, suddenly, he wants us to feel sorry for him? Please. You can't stay silent when cruelty reigns and then cry foul when your own PR image gets a dent. That's not empathy, that's emotional opportunism. Solarus, bless them, saw through that facade and dared to ask the forbidden question, how come compassion always skips the Sussexes? It's like compassion has a GPS error whenever it tries to locate Meghan and Harry. Recalculating, cannot find sincerity in the British media zone. Here's how it works, folks. When it's a royal William or Kate moment, the press sends sympathy baskets, violin soundtracks, and dramatic headlines. Courage in the face of pressure. When it's Meghan or Harry, the same media suddenly becomes a panel of psychologists and moral judges. Why are they seeking attention again? Selective compassion, a masterpiece of media manipulation. It's empathy for the elite and judgment for the brave. But Solarus? Solarus flipped the table. Instead of swallowing the spoon-fed royal narrative, they asked the real questions. Where was this compassion when Meghan faced relentless racist coverage? Where was this understanding when Harry admitted to trauma and grief? Why is vulnerability praised in one prince but mocked in another? Solarus didn't whisper. They roared. And in a media landscape where truth is rarer than a genuine apology from the palace, that roar matters. Elizabeth Solarus reminds us that compassion at its core cannot be selective or conditional. It is not something we reserve only for those we like, or for people who look or think like us. Instead, true compassion is a force that transcends boundaries, reaching out to everyone, regardless of their background, beliefs, or status in society. True compassion is universal, recognizing the shared humanity in every individual, and offering understanding without judgment or prejudice. It means seeing the pain in others and responding with kindness, even when it is difficult or inconvenient. The media's treatment of the royals is a powerful example of how compassion can be flawed when it is applied unevenly. Headlines and stories often reveal our biases, showing sympathy for some while casting suspicion on others. When Prince William grieves, the public and press respond with empathy and support. Yet when Meghan Markle expresses pain, she is often met with skepticism, criticism, or even hostility. This double standard exposes the limits of selective compassion. Solarus challenges us to break free from these patterns and to apply empathy universally, not just to those we find relatable or familiar. If we can feel for a king's struggle, we must also open our hearts to a duchess's pain. Compassion loses its meaning if it is not extended to all who suffer. True empathy requires us to listen deeply, with an open heart and mind, setting aside our judgments and assumptions. It is about being present for others even when their experiences differ from our own. This principle of universal compassion extends far beyond the palace walls. It shapes the values of our communities, influencing how we treat neighbours, strangers, and even those we may never meet. By practicing compassion for all, we help cultivate a kinder, more inclusive society, one where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Solarus calls on each of us to help build a more humane world, where empathy is not a privilege for a few, but a right and responsibility shared by all. When challenged, the British press often reacts predictably. They deny critiques, dismissing them as biased. Justification follows. Coverage reflects public interest. This circular argument avoids responsibility. They change the subject to broader issues like press freedom. This tactic obscures the issue of biased reporting. Defensive reactions reveal resistance to accountability. Solarus keeps the focus on evidence, challenging media opacity. The press's defensiveness validates the criticism. Meghan and Harry's experiences are a case study in denied empathy. Meghan's mental health struggles gave voice to many. The media questioned her credibility, discouraging honesty. Harry's choice for family over duty was framed as betrayal. This narrative devalues personal values and boundaries. Their story magnifies societal value cracks. Empathy for them can lead to empathy elsewhere. The ripple effect of empathy is powerful. Despite bias, there is hope. The media landscape is changing, democratizing conversation. Counter-narratives emerge, exposing double standards. People demand authenticity and fairness. This shift in consciousness values stories told with integrity. The path forward requires courage from journalists and the public. We must practice compassion and seek understanding. To Solarus, thank you for bringing light where spin once lived. To the press, you might want to invest in some self-awareness. And to William, well, maybe next time, try compassion when it's not convenient. Until next time, stay real, stay bold, and remember, when truth reigns, lies drown.